Welcome to the World Collective event, and I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background for those of you who are new and not members to our program. I see that there are some people here that I definitely know, and I just wanted to say hello. I'll catch up with you guys later after Miguel and everyone else presents. So who we are a globally minded supply chain resource hub for transformative innovation. We are a nonprofit program that came out of several initiatives in the industry, including programs from the United Nations and Faster for Development and other supply chain operations. So we are a collective organization that brings together many operations in supply chain innovation, transparency and traceability, impact projects, and executive education. We offer this mostly to SMEs in the business on a global scale because obviously we've all seen that large companies already can do this and can internally handle this. This is a nonprofit set up to support other organizations that are really looking to become sustainable, to action opportunities that are not necessarily available to them. And this is a support place, a community, an opportunity for them all to come and kind of join on the resources, see what they're capable of using in their business models and opportunities for the marketplace. So collectively, we have a supply chain innovation hub where we have about 500 vetted suppliers certified from tier 1 to 4. We have matchmaking consulting services, which you'll see here that we're really kind of working on to give the best opportunities for smaller businesses in order to activate what is an opportunity or capability in their supply chain. We have innovation projects going on. We have import projects. We've also connected with some of the largest organizations globally. And as a member of this program, you have opportunity to have very, let's say, price opportunities for testing at SGS. You have blockchain technology and where you can do your transparency and traceability. And you also have carbon tracking and reporting opportunities. So it's an opportunity where everyone has capability that might not be available to them as an individual, but collectively the resources are available to them. We also have environmental and social impact opportunities that we work with globally. The Ethical Fashion Initiative in the UN and all of the social programming that they have with artisans around the world. We also work with several climate impact on insets and opportunities for biodiversity forests around the world. So they're great projects and opportunities that SMEs can now join where they would not be able to have and offer those to their stakeholders and to their consumers. So we also have kind of workshops. We have our innovation summit, but in a general consensus, this is where we are right now. We have opportunities in 15 countries. We have suppliers, 500 plus that we've vetted and secured. And then we also are working at crowdfunding and creating economies of scale for a lot of small businesses on new innovations, new supply chain opportunities and developments and processes. And we also have partnered with several organizations to really explain and really share and communicate those opportunities with people like We Don't Have Time, which is about 60,000 media global reach per month. And we also have other new innovations. These are some of the people that are on our program. And we also offer 3 levels of membership program. So I'm going to leave you there and I'm going to offer Miguel, who I have had the opportunity to work with for many years in our previous lives. And I was really thankful because, you know, we had been really discussing many things and Miguel comes from huge experience, but also recently before COVID had also finished his master's at MIT again. And he's been working in this region of digital transformation and opportunities for launching better things in the marketplace. So today I have the honor of taking an old colleague, not an ex-colleague, and bringing into a new platform where we're really able to share so many new interesting things. We have Ashley at Vitana, and we also have Barry at Trapdoor. So Miguel, I'm going to ask you to take it over and share everyone all the great things that you guys have been working on. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Janine. And hi, and welcome, everyone. So as Janine mentioned, we're going to kind of break this up into 3 parts. I'm going to be doing a presentation on digital product creation, really high level, not going into the nitty gritty, but really talking about why it's important, why it's a game changer for the apparel industry. And then we're going to pass it on to Ashley and Barry. They have very exciting technologies that actually utilize these 3D assets to help to drive revenue and consumer engagement. So we have lots of content, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. Please, if you have questions, enter the questions into the chat. We will have a Q&A at the end, and we'll try to address as many questions as possible. And we can also do a follow-up to answer any outstanding questions. So to begin, this is my background. As Janine mentioned, I have over 20 years experience in apparel, former VP of design at Calvin Klein. I've been in this retail technology space for the last several years now. I'm really excited about where the industry is going, and I'm a big proponent of DPC, not only as a more efficient operational model, but also as a really great way to hit some sustainability goals. So I'll do a very quick intro to DPC. Hopefully, most of you.
I'm on a Zoom. I'm on a Zoom. My son's having his haircut here.
Oh.
He's up here. Really.
Okay, someone.
I'm not sure I'm gonna. Oh, that's sweet. Too sweet.
Someone, I think you're not muted.
Oh. Amazing. Roy and Liz.
Janine, is there a way to mute them?
Yes,
he's here in Israel.
Find it. Okay.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
But I thought they're in Canada, Roy and Liz.
No, I can't get him. Hold on. Mute.
I can't keep track anymore.
Okay, I think I muted him. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. No problem. Good to hear about the haircut. Okay, so to move on, a very quick introduction into DPC. Really, the main point of my section of the presentation is to talk about the benefits of DPC to the apparel industry. And then we will move into how we can leverage these 3D assets, where Ashley will discuss her amazing technology at Ventana, and Barry will then talk about Trapdoor and their software Stage, and we will finish up with a Q&A. So basically, what's going on right now in the current industry is we're at the beginning of a major operational evolution. So DPC has been around for a while, but really has only been adopted in the last several years, and it really is a big game changer. Digital transformation and digital product creation are changing traditional workflows and processes. And it's really important to understand the challenges and opportunities in order to stay relevant and continue to deliver value to your customers. So to sum up DPC, digital product creation is basically creating a replica of a physical garment built to manufacturing specs into a digital format. So this is an example that might be your physical dress. And with DPC in the prototype and salesman sample stage, you create the digital version of it. This is referred to also as a digital twin or as a 3D asset. And the way this is done in a very, very quick overview is basically, you take your manufacturing patterns and you use 3D software like Flow and Browseware, and then you build your product in 3D. The other big component of this is converting your physical fabrics into digital fabrics, so they carry the same drape in all the simulations. And then the result is you now have a 3D version or digital twin of your physical products. I put this image up here just as a precursor to show that DPC is more than just about a product development process or a digital salesman sample. It can very much be consumer facing and help to drive revenue. So how DPC benefits apparel. So I broke this down into 4 main points. And the first one I want to talk about, which was always our big conversation at my last company, was a faster calendar. So in the current production, the physical production, we know the production calendar is slow. It follows a very linear format, which means that decision-making is dependent on previous steps. And it's also highly repetitive because anytime there's a change, add or drop, you're basically starting the whole process over. So to illustrate this, as many of you will be familiar, these are the steps from the inception all the way to getting final product to the customer. And as you can see in this current calendar, it's very linear. And this is the chaos that we experience when we work in this calendar, where anytime during this process, if there's an add or drop, you're going back, you're going back, you're going back. And the result of this is, production calendars that are over a year long before product reaches the customer. With DPC, there's the opportunity for a faster response in shorter calendar. Synchronized collaboration is a new workflow that to me is the biggest game changer of DPC from the operational perspective. And also the ability for real-time decision-making. And this is decision-making not only internally with your collaborative partners, but also gathering information from your consumers. So in this illustration, what you see here is I've created this new section, which I call it synchronized collaboration. So when we relook at this calendar workflow, you actually now see it this way. So you still have the inception, you still have the product getting to the customer, but the difference is everything that used to be linear can now be collaborative and synchronized because your 3D prototypes and your 3D salesman samples can now be used not only at the beginning, but at the end. So all the divisions and all the partners that couldn't make decisions until they reached final salesman samples can actually be making their decisions much earlier on in the process. And this is really what I think is the big game changer. And this is how you shorten your calendar. That whole process from prototype to salesman samples can take 3 to 4 months, and you can cut that by half. So you could get your calendar down to 3 to 8 months, depending on your product category and fabric lead times. The second big point that I want to talk about for DPC is the cost savings. So, the biggest challenge with the current process is it's very high risk, right? We're making decisions, not having final product. We're looking at rough sketches. We're looking at rough prototypes. So there's a lot of financial risk involved. With DPC, it actually reduces the financial risk because you're being able to see what the product looks like in a very high realistic manner digitally. You can actually curate your assortments more accurately earlier on. So again, that also helps to reduce the financial risk. And on top of which, you don't need to overdevelop as much because again, you're going to be able to see what your assortment's going to look like, how you merchandise it. So you're not going to need as many options or color variations or print variations as you would in the traditional model. Oh, sorry. So, this is just to illustrate basically how the current process works, where we're looking at line drawings. We might be looking at prototypes that are in the wrong fabric, in the wrong color. And, you're looking at little color swatches and patterns. With DPC, from your very first line review, you could be looking at this. So you know what this dress looks like, you know what the drape of it is, you know what the fit of it is, and you know how each color and print executes on this pattern. And I think that is where you really build the confidence in the decision-making and you really de-risk the financial ramifications of it. So another cost savings is also to just think about the cost of your salesman samples. So in this example, I put together a SKU plan that you're looking to book 400 SKUs and you need 10 sets of these salesman samples to hit your regional offices or international offices. So in this example, with no DPC, you have a much higher development rate. So you're maybe looking to adopt about 35% of what's developed. Your total cost of SMS would be around $145,000. And your booked average cost for each SMS would be around $363. If you're working with digital product creation, and let's say you're only doing 80% of your sample line, you can already reduce your development rate much tighter because you'll be able to see what the line looks like much earlier on and not need as many options. So already you're developing less samples. The actual cost of the physical samples will drop down to about $20,000 from $145,000, and your booked SMS average cost will drop from $363 down to $48. So this is really where you start to see the results and you start to see the benefits, and this savings can be used to support other parts of your business. The third point I'd like to bring up, as Janine mentioned, is sustainability. Now, I approach sustainability with DPC from a different perspective. We can, lots of great work is being done in raw materials and how fabrics are made and sourced. But in the end, unfortunately, with our current process, there's a lot of waste that's still associated. So even if all your fabrics are sustainable fabrics, you're still going to have a lot of waste. So I met with this one vendor that's a major vendor, and this is the information that they shared with me. So they make about 550,000 samples a year. Out of those samples, they have a 15% adoption rate. So that means out of the 550,000, about 82.5 thousand samples were actually being used. So already you're wasting all those samples. On top of that, about 300,000 meters of fabric are being wasted. So again, this goes back to, even if these fabrics are sustainable, you're not having as much of an impact, but there's still this high level of waste associated with the old production model. And this is where DPC can really make the difference. So when we think about waste reduction, there's many different factors involved. Ordering less fabric, knowing exactly what fabrics you're actually going to book or you're going to use because you've made early decisions you feel confident about. Reducing the amount of samples you're requesting, because again, you don't need to oversample as much. You can have a much tighter adoption rate. Shipping, reducing your carbon footprint. We would send prototypes back halfway around the world just to see a sleeve half an inch shorter. You don't need to do that anymore. That's a huge waste of resources. And reduction of poor sell-throughs. The big advantage of DPC and having these 3D assets is you can actually feel more confident about your line assortment, your merchandising, and you can actually get real-time data from consumers in terms of what they're more likely to buy so that you can actually increase your sell-throughs before your product even gets to the floor. And then the last point that I'd like to touch upon is about staying ahead of the curve. Everyone, we're here to talk about innovation. And, if you're not leading the innovation, then you're behind the innovation. And this really is important when we think about businesses and business models. So what I have here is basically called the S-curve of innovation. This first curve, it represents DPC. This is basically the beginning of an innovation. As the innovation starts to ramp up, it reaches its apex, and then it starts to decline. But at the same time, a new innovation is already coming along. So we're kind of here talking about DPC, and I put Web3 here because this is where we're seeing the evolution of e-commerce heading into. So when we think about DPC, it's already been around for a while. Optitex was one of the first software companies to create 3D software for apparel, and this was in the late 80s. Clo introduced their software in 2009. Browseware introduced theirs in 2012. And then really the industry started to kind of take notice here around 2012 to 2014. Now, these are all the billion-dollar big players like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Walmart, and Target. So they started very early around this time. The next big point was obviously the pandemic, right? 2020 to 2022. That's when we saw a lot more companies starting to explore or starting to implement DPC into their own companies. And now here in 2023, there are still brands out there that haven't really implemented DPC or are still thinking about it or looking to implement it. So, here, anywhere here and after is really kind of called a late adopter. The reason this matters is these early adopters that started in 2014, now they're already up here. So 10 years later, they've already wrapped up. They have 10 years of experience with DPC. They've been able to scale it. And companies like Nike, they're already building their business platforms for Web3. So they're already on the next phase of innovation. So when you fast forward another 10 to 15 years, we might be at the apex of DPC, and the late adopters are barely getting to this point, whereas the early adopters have really ramped up their new business models. So this is really important to kind of think about for your business in terms of how do you kind of stay abreast of innovation and don't get left behind, because the efficiencies that result from this will be benefiting these other companies. So, as someone who's coming in, basically it's about strategizing and implementing DPC. So some suggestions are, start small. Start with one category, start with one vendor. Set standards for your work so that you have consistency across the board. You might be doing work internally. You might have your vendors doing the work. So you want to be able to set standards so you're not duplicating or having to redo work. Partner with your vendors. You know, if you're a small or medium-sized business, you may not have the resources to allocate a specific 3D team or hire 3D designers right away. So partner with your vendors. Many of the vendors I meet with, they're already working in 3D and they offer this as a service to their customers. The biggest challenge with DPC is actually changing the culture. You know, there's a lot of resistance from merchandisers, buyers, designers, you know, across the board. So managing culture is going to be really important to really have a successful journey into DPC. Then once you really get going, then it's about upskilling and training your current employees, as well as you hire new employees, bringing in employees who are comfortable and knowledgeable with 3D. And then the final step would then be to take your learnings and then start to scale this. One of the billion-dollar companies that I mentioned, you know, when I spoke with them, they started off with one category and one supplier, and 10 years later, they have now 90 of their suppliers are working in 3D for them. So really, this is a great scalable new operational model. So that was my quick high-level overview of why I think DPC is exciting. I really think it's a game changer, and it's really going to drive results for businesses as well as sustainability initiatives. Now I'm going to pass this on. What I want to discuss is a lot of brands are focusing on DPC only from the product level, from the product development level, but really, once you have these 3D assets, you can start to use them to drive revenue and consumer engagement, and that's where our technology presenters are going to discuss. So I'm excited to present Ashley Crowder, CEO and co-founder of Ventana. Ventana is a 3D CMS that makes it easy to manage and deploy 3D at scale. And after Ashley's presentation, Barry Zundel, CEO and president of Trapdoor, will present his software Stage, which is a standalone and interactive 3D platform that allows you to showcase, render, and collaborate in real time with high fidelity. So I will stop sharing and Ashley will take over.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Miguel. So yeah, my name is Ashley Crowder. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ventana, and our whole mission is to make 3D fast and easy at scale. So, you know, Miguel touched on a few things, but innovators are really extending 3D from DPC all the way through to their go-to-market and driving serious ROI. So Miguel touched on some of the design and manufacturing areas. We're increasing speed to market, reducing carbon footprint, reducing costs. But we also see a lot of brands using 3D to replace physical samples for B2B sales, where they're engaging buyers in more innovative experiences, again, increasing speed to market, increasing sales. And then we also have a number of brands using this for consumer experiences, which again and again have proven to increase conversion rate and reduce returns. So really adding tons to the bottom line. The problem that we've seen is that legacy IT infrastructure was built for 2D only. So people are using Dropbox or OneDrive, and they're trying to share and collaborate on these 3D models, and it becomes a nightmare. Like if if you're trying to share a Clo or Browseware file to someone who's never opened Clo or Browseware, it's a new language for them. And when you're trying to use 3D in various platforms, whether it's your B2B sales tool like New Order or Huidor, or your e-commerce site, the 3D model has to meet certain specs. And that can be a lot of manual work and cumbersome. And so this is where Ventana comes in. We've built a scalable 3D content management system that can upgrade your existing IT infrastructure to handle 3D at scale. So what does that mean? Kind of the secret sauce behind what we do is we have patented algorithms that can take your existing Clo, Browseware, Keyshot, et cetera design, instantly optimize and convert it to meet the specs of Google, Amazon, Facebook, e-commerce, anywhere you need to go. So you can just upload it and then publish where you want. You don't have to do any manual work. And then we integrate with existing PLM and DAMs for those larger companies that need that single source of truth. But a lot of smaller companies just use us as their sole content management system for 3D. So I was going to walk through a quick demo. So this is Clo. We actually have plugins for Clo and Browseware that you can automatically upload one or bulk thousands of assets at a time if you want to. But this makes sure that we're exporting all the right pieces we need. You can then choose what we call the optimization settings, but we also create presets for e-com, Facebook, so it'll automatically convert that file to the best settings. It then uploads to Ventana. And this is our platform. So I can now go through, I can edit the lighting settings in the viewer, get the look I want, and then share or embed that anywhere I want. I can also invite users on here to collaborate and review who maybe don't know how to open a 3D program. So it's all web-based, anybody can log in. Once you're logged in, you can easily drop a pin right on that 3D asset, make a note, ask for a change, and then resolve it, which has been really helpful for a lot of brands for collaborating with their vendors who maybe are creating 3D for them, or upper management who doesn't know how to open these 3D files. We also have the ability to publish 3D line sheets. So you can select assets and click publish, and you instantly get a single shareable link that's trackable. So we've got a number of brands using this to sell to, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom's, or again, internal presentations, trying to do line reviews and merchandising. And I wanted to touch on a few case studies. So we have a children's clothing brand who is able to fully replace all their physical samples with 3D using our line sheets. And they're saving, about $90,000 per season. And we equated that to 4.4 tons of carbon per season, which is really amazing. So as Miguel said, it's like real results. Like it's best to just never make it, Once you complete that B2B sale, then you have your go-to-market. So we, just showing again, you can drop an asset up on Ventana, and then we give you that iframe. So it's the exact same as adding a video to your website or portfolio. So we make it really easy. We do have, APIs for larger companies who want to do bigger integrations, but it can be as simple as just popping the iframe right on your WordPress or Squarespace website. And augmented reality is built in. So once you upload an asset from anywhere, we automatically create all the derivatives you need. So you can instantly, view that in your space. And I'm sure many of you saw the big Apple announcement yesterday, which I am very, very excited about. I've been waiting like 10 years for that. And so we automatically create what's called a USDZ file, which is what you need for iOS. So if you have an iPhone to do augmented reality, that's the file you need. We automatically make that. It'll also work with those amazing new Apple headset. So just when you're thinking about the future and what's coming next, as Miguel said, this is preparing you for all the amazing experiences. Stod is another client. They were able to reduce returns by 66% by adding 3D and AR to their website. The number one reason purses are returned is it was bigger, smaller than I thought it was. Well, using augmented reality, I can see the exact size of that purse on my desk and confidently make that purchase. So again, huge reduction in waste there. Just one more example, Refinery, they're a clothing brand. They also added 3D to their e-com site. And what was really interesting is, almost 90% loved the 3D experience, 70% said it helped them confidently make that purchase decision, which is great, increasing conversion rate, as we know. But what was really interesting is they tracked what consumers were looking at on that 3D model, and they realized that everyone was zooming in to the same point of that shirt, really looking at the logos and the buttons, which was photography they didn't have before. So having the 3D allowed them to track data on what consumers cared about and actually change the photography for all their products for their website, which I thought was a really interesting use case. And kind of the last two, go-to-market experiences, we actually have early access to publish 3D to Google search. Google has started adding 3D in North America. They're expanding to the rest of the world later this year. But if you search for certain products, you're actually going to start to see a 3D model, not just a 2D image. And so far, they're seeing a 6% higher conversion rate click through to the website compared to 2D, which is exciting. And we also can publish automatically to Amazon storefronts. So this is really exciting for shoes. They have shoe try-on. For bags and clothing, it's the 3D on the web page and view in your room. Again, they're seeing higher conversion rates, and we've made it easy, so it's a click of a button. And if any of you want to test it out, we have a free version. You can upload 5 assets and play around with it. So feel free to scan the QR code and reach out with any questions. Pass it back to you, Miguel.
Great. Yeah. So I think Barry, go ahead and
Sure.
take over. Yep.
All right, I'll jump in here. Share this. Let's see here. There we go. Can everybody see this? Awesome. Thanks, Miguel. Thanks, Ashley. It's great to be here and talk to you guys about a little bit about what we do at Trapdoor Creative. So my name is Barry Zundel, CEO of Trapdoor Creative. Give you a little bit of history from our company and myself. Lots of time in the entertainment industry, Disney Interactive, Pixar, spent a bunch of time at Nike as a 3D creation or as a 3D lead. And we've been around since about 2014, but about 3 years ago, we started building software in addition to the rest of what we do. We're located in Utah, and our focus is really to help companies leverage real-time rendering technology, speed up the design process from ideation all the way to go to market. And really, it's to create the highest quality visuals at the fastest speeds. And this is because this is a pretty big problem in the industry. So we're a full service 3D agency. We do content creation. So we work as a partner with brands to create content, to create the 3D models, do animations, all that kind of stuff. We also create full 3D interactive experiences. So whether that's a retail store or a product walkthrough or anything like that, where you want a customer or a sales tool or anything like that, we build those interactive experiences for our clients. And lastly, we develop software to help streamline the design process, especially around visuals. As we all know, oh, I'm getting an echo. As we all know that creating those amazing visuals and communicating visually is incredibly important to decision-making, buying, customer engagement, all of those things. And those visuals are really, really important. And so just talk about the problem. Miguel talked about it. Ashley talked about it. But from our perspective, because we focus on high quality visualization, that's kind of where we go. And high quality visualization is hard. A lot of companies, you need experienced teams. You have to leverage agencies to do it well. It takes a long time. It's complicated. And when you're starting to make decisions based on inaccurate visuals, that really slows the process down because that iteration loop really starts to slow down. Another thing is you can't do volume. It's really difficult to do volume with high quality visualization. So those become big problems. Like what was talked about before with physical samples, they're wasteful, they're time consuming, they're expensive to do, and it's limiting. Too many of the companies that we talk to, talk about they only do certain, a few samples or only this sample or that sample or whatever, just because number one, it's too expensive, and number two, it takes too long. And that's where DPC or 3D really comes into play and goes, you can visualize everything you have. Now, usually if you say you can visualize everything you have, that's going to be a massive undertaking, especially when it comes to doing it in a really like photoreal way. And so our solution, we wanted to create something that was the highest quality image creation at the fastest speeds. So we wanted to leverage the best in class real-time tech. We wanted it to connect into your existing pipelines and create instant visual communication straight from the design apps. So this wasn't like use your design apps like VStitcher or Clo or whatever it is, and then you'd have to go into something like Maya or Blender or whatever and create visuals there. We want you to just be able to do it. We wanted to be able to automate that. We wanted to make it really simple for anybody to use, not even 3D people, to be able to use that. We wanted to replace samples, and we wanted it to really be a virtual photo studio, just like a real photo studio. But if you have a virtual twin or a digital twin, you want to have a digital twin of the way to create the imagery as well. And so that means accuracy in what we're doing. So we really wanted photoreal visualization. That included lighting, materials. We didn't want to have any loss in detail on the model. And so that's really what we focused on. So what the solution is, we built a software called Stage. And Stage is built on top of Unreal Engine 5, if you guys know what Unreal Engine is. And so we leverage all of the horsepower of Unreal Engine with real-time ray tracing, path tracing, physically accurate materials, lighting, shadows, all of the stuff that makes it very realistic. We leverage all that, but we put it in a very simple to use interface. And this simplicity gives you all the tools you need to do what you need to do, but also gets all of the fluff out of the way, all the crazy menus and everything like that. Now, keep in mind that you can go download Unreal Engine and use Unreal Engine, but it's a very complicated tool, and you usually have to have pretty detailed and experienced people working in that to really make it do what you want to be able to do. So we took all that, put a whole new wrapper on it, and made it pretty much like a virtual photo studio. So here's just a quick video of how it integrates with VStitcher. So from VStitcher, you can just open up and be working on your design. You open up Stage, it opens up directly, so it does all the work behind the scenes to get to take everything, push it over into Stage. And this is actually using MetaHumans here. So we've integrated MetaHuman avatars in, so they're extremely realistic. We can do custom poses, custom sizing, custom hair, all that kind of stuff. But as you can see, I'm lighting this like a real photo studio. These lights are photo accurate. They do soft shadows, ray trace shadows, ambient occlusion, all of the stuff that make it look real. And the scene is actually using global illumination as well. So you get that real true to life light bouncing around the scene, physically accurate materials. I can change scenes from this, photography sweep into something like a dark studio with the lighting. I can also change it to outdoor. I can put it outdoors. So as you can see, because this is built on Unreal, we have a lot of power to do very high-end visuals, live visuals. So you can see like even the ripples on the water are going, there's refraction in the water, and you can see how detailed that is. So I can also do stuff like with the camera, like I would do in normal life. I change the f-stop, right? Change the aperture to something low, and you get that perfect depth of field. So it starts to feel like a real photo session in a render. I can even change the time of day to what I want it to be. So it could be, based on, I don't have to be like, okay, we have to schedule this photo shoot right now, and we have to get it because the lighting's perfect right now. We can change the lighting to whatever time we want. I could put clouds in the sky and dial up the amount of cloud in the sky. You could even make it rain if you wanted to, and snow, and all of this kind of environmental stuff. And while this seems fun, it also means that we talk to a lot of companies who are now looking or utilizing this tool to change the way that they do photo shoots, and they're able to do it whenever they want and don't have to do all that. And that's a whole nother topic. This one, as you can see, I'm setting up a quick turntable animation. It's super easy, very easy to do. I just set a start and a stop. I hit play. There's my turntable right there. And now I can go in and render that. And this is where the power comes in. So all this visual fluff, I can pick what I want. I can pick the options. I go in and I say, here's what I'm going to render, and I'm going to render this. Now you'll see here, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see how fast these frames start to render. So these are full HD frames, ray traced frames with global illumination happening in the scene, everything live, and you can see how fast those renders go. And so what we're doing is we're taking the full res asset with the full res textures, with realistic human avatars, with physically accurate lighting and materials and everything. And that turntable was done. And so here's now what you see that turntable to be. So this is just looping. But as you can see, the whole idea behind what we built was that we want your designs to be able to be communicated visually accurate as fast as possible during the design process, during the decision-making process. Go into a meeting with your design team, not with renders, but with Stage live up and just tumbling and ready to go. And so Stage is really meant to be able to not only do that live, but also batch render all kinds of cameras. So you can set up all kinds of cameras, animations, render all those at the same time. Just a few stats around this. well, I'll talk about this first. Yeah, so the way that Stage is available exclusively through Browseware in the fashion space. We built it on top of Unreal Engine 5. We have platforms for Windows, Mac. You can use the plugin. There's no Stage app for Mac yet. We're working on that one, but there's also browser streaming. So all of our Mac users, they actually use it right in the browser, and it's an awesome experience. We have a bunch of companies using that. We also have cloud rendering. So with your license of Stage comes free cloud rendering. You can render the cloud as much as you want. With Stage, it's unlimited rendering. And so you can render, there's no like render costs or anything. We also import from any file type like FBX, OBJ, GLTF, GLB, and there's more coming online, which means that if you've built assets in Blender or Cinema 4D or wherever you want to bring those in, even from Browseware or Clo or whatever, you can bring those into Stage and do rendering with that. So there's a lot more coming in Stage. The development's going very quickly. Did my screen just freeze? Okay, here we go. So some of the benefits of Stage is create amazingly realistic imagery through the entire design process. So it's not a go through the whole design, get to the end, then create some imagery. If you want to do an A/B test on social media with a design that you have, throw it in Stage, do the 2 tests really fast, change the colorway, and put those up on social media and see what happens before you ever go to manufacturing, right? Make real-time decisions based on true-to-life materials, lighting, and visualization. So you want to make those decisions based on what's real. We had a customer who had a jacket that was yellow, and they were like, we don't know if this is going to look good outside. It looks good in a retail store, but we don't have a sample yet, but we want to see what it looks like outside. They threw it in Stage, threw it in an HDR environment outside and said, oh yeah, that's what we want it to look like. We got the sample back. It looked just the same. So being able to make those decisions true to life is really important. Something we're developing inside of Stage right now is live collaboration. So I won't go into this too much. Send me an email or whatever if you want to know more. But being able to collaborate in real time, like a multiplayer video game, just like you saw, just like you would do in a multiplayer video game, walking around designs, making comments, talking to each other in real time, doing those things in real time is going to be really cool. Also experiment in 3D. Don't worry about the rendering taking time, because now it doesn't. So you can experiment, you can try things, you can test new lighting, throw a new texture on it, all those kinds of things, and you get the photoreal results in real time right in front of you, so you can make those decisions. Creating beautiful imagery. One of the key is you have members on your team that aren't 3D pros, and they want to be able to create imagery. They want to be able to access those models. They want to be able to put that picture in their deck or whatever it is. They can do that in Stage. It's very simple, very little ramp up time. Another thing is gives your in-house capabilities a real big boost, because now you can create those visuals in-house without the knowledge, the deep knowledge that needs to do it, right in a really deep 3D way. And then it's very easily scalable. So there's simple licensing, and then also enterprise level camera, render, lighting, and scene settings, so that it's consistent across an entire organization. So when you have different parts of an organization working on 3D, Stage can unify all the settings, and therefore everybody's working with the same lighting setups or the same scenes or the same render resolutions and all of that kind of stuff. So it's very easy that way. Just some examples right here at the end. For example, this 4K still render. So this is what you see right here, 1.2 seconds to do that 4K render. So if you do batch rendering with 6 renders, a front, back, left, right, and a couple hero shots, it takes 7.2 seconds to batch render those 4K images. Whereas that would take 30, 40 minutes, hours in some other rendering scenarios. So if you go to 10 styles, 2 colorways each, and all that batch rendered, you get all that 4K imagery in 2.4 minutes. That's the power of real-time rendering, that no longer is it set this to go on a render farm, let it go overnight, get back in the morning and go, oh shoot, we did the wrong colorway. Got to go back and re-render that. This is instantaneous, super fast, so really fast. Now, for an example, this animation that we rendered right here, it's 10 seconds long. It's 60 frames a second. It's in 4K. It took 57 seconds to render. And if you've ever tried to render something in 4K at 600 frames, fully ray traced, you know that takes forever. And you can't scale that. That's something that just can't be scaled. So you can't do 400 SKUs. You can't do multiple different camera angles and different animations and all that kind of stuff to communicate it, because it just takes too long to do and too long to set up. But with Stage, literally 57 seconds to do a 4K animation. So if you're batch rendering that, 3 renders, a turntable plus a couple of hero shots, you're talking two, maybe 3 minutes. And then going up to those 20 colorways, batch rendered, 57 minutes, 4K, 10 seconds, all those renders. So the idea is everything that Miguel talked about, that Ashley talked about when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to speed, when it comes to ease of use, that's really what we've pushed Stage to be, is we should not be thinking about rendering anymore in the industry. It should be rendering is part of the process. It's not the end result that we have to worry about and think about, oh, shoot, I've got to save 2 weeks of time at the end of my project to render this. It just doesn't work that way anymore. We can do super high resolution, very realistic renders straight from the design tools in no time. And so that's what Stage is. Like I said, we're a full service 3D company, but we've been working on Stage for about 3 years. It's out. We have customers in the industry that are using it and leveraging it a ton, and we're really excited. And so if you're interested in getting a hold of it, please get in contact with us or your Browseware rep. And then we can set up a time for your team to pilot it, but we would love to get your hands on it. So thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ashley and Barry. Those are really, I've been using the products. I think they're really exciting and very easy to use. And that's why I brought them on, because I wanted people to kind of understand that you don't need really highly skilled technical people to start to do, take advantage of what 3D offers. So, we would love to take any questions. If anyone has any questions, you can put it in the chat, raise your hand. We have about like 10 minutes left. And then if not, you can also follow up. If you want to meet with any of us independently, you can reach out to info@World Collective, reach out to Janine, and she could connect us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for everything. I really do appreciate your time and amazing technology. It's always moving, and within a few months already, it's changing. It's an evolution. It's super exciting, especially for our members who are smaller, medium-sized brands who really can, utilize some of the latest technologies out there. And in each day, they're evolving better and better, and it will give them access to be able to, compete in the larger marketplace. So today, I just wanted to say, Ashley, you put something in the chat here, which is about the QR code and signing up for the free trial. That's amazing. I would encourage everyone to do that and check out this amazing technology. If you can, please try to follow us on LinkedIn and also on Instagram. World Collective we're going to be doing so many amazing events, and additional to what you heard today, we have some upcoming events on the footwear industry and innovation and supply chain, new supply chain methods, and how we're motivating and changing in this kind of adaptable age. Additionally, we'll be also hosting an event in London with Vertura, which will be on small brands, designer brands in London, on the capabilities and opportunities of sustainability and social programming. So more to come. I think we're going to be following up with Miguel on another program, as well as an additional colleague or ex-Calvin Klein, who will be also doing some digital assets. I think that's Tony Murray. Is he on here? I think I saw his name earlier. So stay tuned. There's so many exciting events. There's so much happening in this space. The activation opportunity for innovation to change the industry is just, off the chart at this moment. So thanks again, everybody. If there's any questions, info@worldcollective.com. We really appreciate it. Please follow us and stay tuned for more from our programming. Thank you.